Hi, everyone. This is Sonja Robinson hosting the Sun Talk Radio Show, Sustainable Urban Network, Saturdays at 3 p.m. on GODradio1.com for us to scale up our neighborhoods.
Tune in to Sun Sustainable Urban Network Talk Radio Show on GODradio1.com. Get up, get out, and get green. We can't let Earth pass us by. We got to scale up our neighborhood, y'all.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another day in Sun, Sustainable Urban Network. You could be anywhere, and we thank you for tuning in, and we want to wish you a happy Sun Saturday. So on Sun, we work together with our collective community to address situations that's happening in our community. So we want to let you know that today's topic is addressing our U.S. Census. It's very, very important. We have an expert, a panelist that's going to let you know how important it is and how it ties into your everyday lives. We want to help improve the quality of your lives here on Sun as we address and intersect our social, racial, economic justice, as well as equity. And together, we believe that we can help scale up our neighborhoods. And before we move forward, our panelists, as well as myself, we would like to honor those unfortunate deaths and loss by violent police brutality, as well as we want to honor our social justice giants, Reverend C.T. Vivian and Congressman John Lewis, with up to a 9-second moment of silence. And I will call out these names: Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, Trayvon Martin, Rashad Brooks, George Floyd, Sean Reed, Tyrone West, and Ahmaud Arbery and Michael Brown. Thank you. Like all of our shows, we want to go ahead and share what our reflection is for today. And for today's show and reflection, we want to really address one of our social justice giants, which is Marcus Garvey. And the quote reads as such: "The ends you serve are selfish, will take you no further than yourself. But the ends you serve that are for all are in common and will take you to eternity." Now, as normally, we also want to address our Sun enlightenments, which are inspired by our modern thought teacher, Don Miguel Ruiz. And our Sun enlightenments are as such: 1, be responsible with your resources. 2, take the state of our climate, environment, and social and racial justice seriously. 3, don't wait for others, do your part. And 4, give your best and loving effort in doing so. So as I mentioned before, today's topic is our U.S. Census, and we have a powerhouse, ground on the boots, collective community specialists in this area. So I'm so excited to have them on our show. Before we dive deep into this topic, as we want to engage you in this topic to encourage others, we want to also share with you what's happening, what's going on. So some of the information that I'm sharing, you might have heard, but if not heard, you felt. Are you feeling this extreme heat wave here in California? I mean, it is leading to power outages across the state, up in even Northern California area. So we definitely want to make sure we encourage everyone to conserve their energy when they can, and understand that this heat, this climate is reaching over 100 degrees. And matter of fact, just on Sunday, that Death Valley reached its hottest place on Earth, not in California, not in the country, but on Earth, recorded as 134 degrees. And anytime that was close to this was back in 1913, so almost nearly 100 years ago, did we have temperatures reading this much or this high. Our announcements, what's happening? So gotta put a shout out to our Environmental and Climate Justice Committee with the NAACP San Diego and NAACP North San Diego County. We meet on September 1st. It's always the first Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. You can get the link on the website. And also, I got to give that shout out once again to our NAACP San Diego prayer vigil. It happened last Friday, and man, it was just so touching to see our communities coming together, honoring those that have lost, and just an unfortunate trauma that our communities have experienced, but yet we're thriving through it. Now, I also want to make sure that you stay tuned to our community discussion that we will be having about our city's utility franchise agreement. As you heard last Saturday, this is a multi-billion-dollar agreement, and we want to make sure that our communities have a voice on the structuring of this agreement, and that our minimum bid reflects what it should reflect to help fund the things that are necessary in our communities. Now, on to our Sunshine Award. First, got to give it up to last week's show. Thank you to all our experts that came on and to discuss the franchise agreement, which is a topic that many of us are unaware of. So just the fact that we're bringing this to our communities is very important. Also, did you guys hear that California is working with our Native American tribes to restore traditional landscape? And so this is very, very important as there's some burning happening in order to mitigate those burning with those wildfires. So we're very thankful that California is respecting our Native American tribes and the land that they're preserving. In addition, did you guys see that the formal motel turns into affordable apartments for individuals who are experiencing homelessness? So this is a great, great, great shout out. Now, onto the fossil shade. I have to say this, that the officer, his name was Officer Shook, and Lieutenant Rouse, unfortunately had a reckless shooting that was targeted to young kids. It was really just incomprehensible. And so this is showing the unfortunate racist, reckless behaviors from some unfortunately bad cops. And so there was a 16-year-old, 14-year-old, 12-year-old, 9-year-old. That is, this particular case is under investigation, which we're very happy that it is. And want to just throw that fossil shade to them. There's no reason that shooting should be done to any children. Also, the fossil shade goes to the eviction moratorium that's likely to end in September for the state of California. So just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. Now to our topic. Can you count us in? So we're going to be talking about the U.S. Census. We have a great, great, great panel that will be talking about the U.S. Census, and we're excited to have them. And we're going to kick our U.S. Census off with our theme song, as we always rock to our theme song as we go into our topic. Gonna have to count me out. You'll have to count me out. I wanna be with my girlfriend. You'll have to count me out. Hey, yes, I know this is a nice little flashback to so many of us, at least in the generation that my son likes to call the Coolios. I gotta love that. So we got, like I said, a powerhouse professional experts talking about the U.S. Census here in San Diego County. And I would like to introduce JoAnn Fields. She is a coordinator of Paving Great Futures, as well as a true champion for our communities. This woman has been working in our communities for many, many years. She's also worked for different elected officials, so she understands the connection of community and public policy. We also have Mr. Ray Donegan, and he is with the U.S. Census Partnership. He's the U.S. Census Partnership Specialist, and he's also a very active community member and community advocate. We also have Miss Dhalia Balmir, and she's representing BayPAC's Count Me In 2020 Voices in Our Communities. So welcome, everyone. So you're welcome. So now the first question I have will go to Ray. And I just want to see, just to kind of literally give some context. I believe we all know, but just in case someone still need more information of how do you define what the census is and why is it important to participate in the census?
Well, thank you for having me. Definitely love being here. Why is the census important? It's an accurate count of our population, serves as a basis for fair political representation, plays a vital role for areas in public life, Here are some 6 areas that the census plays a key role in. One is appointment. The other is redistricting, monies to the states, planning, emergency response, and base for federal surveys. All of these.
So when you say appointments, what do you mean by appointments? Can you define that? Because I even need to know when you say appointments, what is that?
Okay, the state population counts from the decennial census are used for reappropriation for seats in the House of Representatives.
That's right.
No state has a permanent claim on their assigned seats.
Good point. Excellent. So was there any additional information you wanted to share or on how you define it? That's a really good definition though.
Yes, and if I may add, Ray, that
yes, ma'am,
it's mandated by law. It's a mandate. We as citizens, or actually we're counting everyone under the sun, pun intended.
I love that, JoAnn, pun intended, right?
Everyone under the sun that's living in the United States as of April 1st need to be counted, because like Ray said, there is congressional seats, elected seats that represent in Congress over 711,000 people. So we know that there has been a shift in population. People may be moving to Texas or Nevada or Arizona because of the cost of living, or people may be coming into California, into San Diego because of the military. So there's a population shift. So if a district represents 711,000 constituents, we need to know how big or small that congressional district is. So as it stands in the state of California, we have 53 congressional districts. I worked for the 53rd Congressional Representative, Congresswoman Davis, and that's where I learned how it impacts our community. And I know we're going to talk about that more in detail during the show.
No, excellent. But I'm glad you brought that up, because even in preparation for you powerhouse panelists, that's something I learned. I didn't realize that there is a connection with our census count and the House of Representatives. So I appreciate you taking us to school on that, because I don't think a lot of people have that correlation. So that's very, very important. So what I would like to ask is, how will the upcoming census impact, as you mentioned, from a federal level, but even our municipal and state, our school districts, college districts, housing, transportation? JoAnn or Dhalia, did you want to chime in on that?
I wanted to add to what JoAnn was saying, that on the congressional seats. So why that's important is because it gives the government officials that are elected the information on where to focus their efforts in San Diego, right? So it's very important to understand that. So, which is why it's so important to have the count. If you're not counted, you're invisible, which you have no representation, no power. And you're not visible, that means they're not going to focus on you.
I like that, Dhalia. Can you repeat that? Because I really think that we need to know that. I mean, girl, you talking about a soundbite. I like that. So can you, I need you to repeat that one right there, as far as if you're not counted, you're invisible.
Yeah, absolutely. So the congressional seats really tie into letting officials know where should we concentrate. And if you're not visible, if you're not counted, you're not visible. I mean, that's probably the most basic way of explaining it, right? Which is, if you look at our county, you'll see how there's overrepresentation in funding and dollars in some neighborhoods versus other neighborhoods.
I think every city or every county has exactly what you just described, where you see certain areas of the city have this beautification, they have, their climate action plans, they have, many other resources, and other communities literally don't. So now that we're talking about this, and this is so important for our communities to understand this, what is the fear, or the fear mongering, if you will, or the reasons why, and the challenges that people would rather stay invisible, as you mentioned, Dhalia, then being seen by being counted? Like, are there reasons why some people feel like, even from a voting perspective, unfortunately, there's still people who choose not to vote and they have different reasons why. Can you also explain or share, anyone on the panel, of why some people may choose not to be counted?
Because they don't want to share they think their personal information is going to be used against them.
Yeah.
And they think they
That's
have
a
to
good
give
point.
more. Yeah, and then they think they have to give more information that that is not required. They don't really know what information that they have to give. But all of us that's working for the U.S. government, the U.S. Census, we're bound by lifetime secrecy by Title 13. I mean, for our whole life, we cannot share any information that we get on participants into the census. So
can you tell us what that Title 13 is? Because that might help for some people understand that you guys are legally bound, or that this process literally has some covenant and boundaries, as if you will, to encourage
sure.
complete.
So Title 13 covers censorship status, social security numbers, property permits, use of public benefits, criminal convictions, bank accounts, employment income. None of this information, one, is even going to be asked. And two, any information that we do get is private. We do not share anything because we can go to jail for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why, again, working with our partnership specialists like Ray, and if I may explain how this all works, the logistics of everything. Ray and the U.S. Census Bureau is the only entity that will collect the data. They're all federal employees that have extensive background checks, extensive training, and are all sworn by Title 13. Dhalia and I and our community-based organizations that are coalition members of the Count Me 2020 coalition that is administered by the United Way of San Diego and Imperial County, we receive funding from Governor Newsom's office, who has the California Census Complete Count Committee, because we need to supplement outreach. Because as we were talking before the show, we are boots on the ground. We are doing work every day, 24/7. Dhalia and Baypack and Ellen and Alice and everyone there are working on social justice issues. And then we also have with what you have on not social justice, but environmental justice.
Right.
So we know that we are trusted messengers. And as trusted messengers, we help deliver the message that this is a safe and confidential process. The only entity, again, that will receive the message or the data is the U.S. Census Bureau. And we are just trying to amplify their voice and connect with people in the community to please complete the census. So if you look at aerial view on what we're talking about taking a snapshot of the whole United States on April 1st. Looking at how old are you? What is your ethnicity? Because when we have COVID-19 and Governor Newsom said shelter in place, how many people are we talking about? What languages do we need to put the announcement in? Not just in English or Spanish, it's in Arabic, it's in Tagalog, in Spanish, so there's so many languages, but we're not guessing. We're planning, we're budgeting, and all of that derives from the census. So that's why it's so important, because it only takes place once every 10 years. So the babies from 0 to 5 that are usually undercounted, think about it. We're planning for preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, and in some cases, even middle school. So that includes their after school program, lunch program. It's a lot of planning just for that subset. What about our elders? Access to quality health care. We know that there's a new urgent care at Paradise Valley that serves Southeastern San Diego and National City. It's because we have a growing need, but we cannot defend the need for more money from our Congress representatives, our state representatives, without these numbers. So that's why we are all in this together, because we need a complete count and we need it by September 30th. This administration shorted us 31 days.
About to ask you about this. So, I mean, there's a couple of things you said. I mean, you said a lot, right? I mean, good stuff, and really want to unpack it. But one of the things that really resonated with me is that growing need, right? So, as you mentioned, like what from 10 years ago, where we're at, there could be some growing needs. So, you really broke down, just in details of how being counted can impact preschool, right? You mentioned that. How can it impact your urgent care or medical services that you need? But the last thing you mentioned, let us know how and why did this due date change? I mean, what is going on with that, right? Like, because originally the due date for the census was what? Come on, come on.
31st.
Say that louder.
Well, actually, the original due date was July 31st, but
Yeah.
due to COVID-19,
Okay.
they chose to extend it to October 31st.
Okay.
And then the director, Mr. Dillingham, Stephen Dillingham, chose to scale it back now to September 30th. And I'll defer to Ray to give the official statement of why the Census Bureau chose to shorten the timeline.
So, because I want to tell you this, inquiring minds want to know. Our viewers, our listeners want to know what happened from October 31st to September 30th.
As being an official government employee, I can only say the date has been changed to the end of September, and our main focus is to count as many people as possible.
Well, I respect that, brother. But then, do we need to have a conversation of any speculation of why that date was now scaled back 30 days?
Me being a government employee, I can't even.
Not you, Ray, but I'm asking about Dhalia and JoAnn.
You want to go ahead, Dhalia?
No, you go ahead.
I really don't think we need to focus on the why, because like COVID-19, we didn't plan on COVID-19.
Agreed.
We didn't plan 2 years ago that this was all going to happen. We had a different strategy. We had no idea about YouTube, online shows or Zoom calls. We had no idea this was all coming into play. So we had no idea that they were going to make us work faster. So is it surprising? Yes and no. Look at who's at the helm. So you know what? We pivot. We got to pivot, and we're not going to forget that what he did, but what we're going to do is we have to work with what we have. That's why it's all hands on deck. That's why it's important that we have this broadcast. So thank you for helping us amplify the message. We have to get it done by September 30th. This is the first time. We also have technology on our side. So my2020census.gov. I know BAPAC has a number of activities. The Census Bureau will bring out staff to help people go to your event and complete the census on site. Another group I'm working with, the Asian Pacific Islander Initiative, we're in front of the supermarkets in National City in the heat. Do we want to be in the heat? No, we don't. But do we know the impact in the next 10 years? Yes, we do. And that's why we need to make these sacrifices. And this is why we have to get it done. And if you got it done, and I got to just copy what Ray says, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you if you completed your census. But now please check on your parents, check on the elders, check on the people that may not be computer savvy or may not be on their phone like we, millennials, I'm not saying I'm a millennial, but millennials and
we're the coolios. I told you that already. We the coolios.
So again, we just need to make sure and don't assume that because you're head of an organization that you've done it. Because I watched on a news segment where a reporter that has covered us a dozen times tell us that someone was knocking at her door. And you know what that means? You didn't complete your census.
Right.
So, okay, I just want
to add one more thing. As I've worked for the government for many years, I just want to let you know that things change and we have to adapt. And this is one thing that we have to adapt to. So with JoAnn, with Dhalia, and all the other partners that the U.S. Census partnership with, we're fighting to make sure that we meet this deadline. because we know how important it is when it comes to funding and redistricting. So instead of focusing on the why, let's focus on how. Let's get it done.
Action. So that's why y'all boots on the ground and getting it done. So speaking on that, you guys have been doing a lot of great work. And I mean, having to adapt and adjust even in the middle of a pandemic that we have not experienced over a century, right? And I know this personally because I have participated based on your outreach and the invites of seeing the work that you guys have done via Zoom. And they were fun, even with the cahoots, right? You guys are building the cahoots and making it fun, and the line dancing, and I mean, all kinds of things. You guys are being so creative. So I've heard that there is some records being broke. There's some progress being met in comparison to last decade. So I want to go ahead and, toot your horn, and I would like someone to share what is the update compare where we're at in 2020 compared to where we were in either 2010 or even 2000. Would somebody like to share the update on the progress you guys are making?
So with the help of definitely JoAnn and Dhalia, before I connected virtually with these ladies, we used to, as partnerships, we used to go out and give speeches and education training and workshops, and JoAnn did them also to a number of guests. I mean, I did it for the Department of Commerce in front of 175 people, a few other groups, 30, 40, 50, some small groups, some large. Then COVID hit. And then us three connected together. We have done, I would think it would be 42 webinars as of April 1st.
Wow.
And the impact is over 15,000 views and over, I say probably over 4,000 shares. That is just us doing it.
You said 4,000 shares?
About 4,000 shares and 15,000 views.
I gotta give a thumbs up on that right there. I mean, that's exactly, that is amazing. You guys go.
That attests to the teamwork from all three of us on how, we knew we couldn't go talk in front of people anymore. So we said, okay, we got to go out and we got to make this mission, and we got to share it. We were doing it 2 times a week, nonstop, steady going, because we know as our community, if you hear it the first time and you might just blow it off, we need to keep pounding this into your brain that this is how important this is.
And I appreciate that, because you're so right. I mean, our daily lives and the things that we have, the challenges and difficulties that we deal with could look different than our, Caucasian counterparts, families and lives. And so you're absolutely right. We're hearing it 2 or 3 times. We were like, by the 3rd time, we start paying attention almost, right? So you're absolutely correct. And what I want to give you guys props is the creativity, and that your just tenacity, right? And you're willing to just continue, regardless of what challenges is in front of you, that you guys didn't let COVID, y'all ain't let Rona stop nothing.
I mean, when we first started, hey, you can ask JoAnn, we was having technical difficulties, couldn't get Zoom to work, couldn't get the mic to work.
We're gonna have a blooper show. We're gonna have a blooper show at the end of this.
That's the next part.
Like, hear me? Am I on? Am I not? No, we're not.
Oh my God, I know. But you know what? I love the fact that there was no reason to allow COVID to take over for us. It was, I think JoAnn said it earlier, we're in the age of technology. We have every type of technological advancement at our fingertips. And it was very natural to go into the Zoom room, right? Or the Zoom calls. It has worked for us. And through our efforts, others have kind of picked up that and started doing it themselves, because it's like, oh my goodness, we can actually do something different than be physically there, right? And so that's been very helpful.
Yeah, we actually, when we first started, I think we had a response rate that was probably barely over 50%. Okay. And to let you guys know, today, we are at 69.9%. We are number 2. We are ranked number 2 in the nation with a population of 1 million. And we've been riding that for about 7 weeks now.
Okay,
We've been riding that for 7 weeks.
hear that again. I think our listeners need to hear that again, Ray. Give us
We
those shout out stats.
we are ranked number 2 with cities over 1 million population as a response rate. And, that's from all of us in San Diego fighting together with the coalition of us three and yourself, and just getting the word out and how important it is. Now, our goal is 72%, and we're at 69.
So you're at 69?
So I'm quite sure we're going to get there, but I'm fighting for 75%, because remember, we're talking about money and power. The more we have counted, the more money we have coming into our communities. And I'm talking about.
And I'd like to add to that is money, power, and respect, because they will have to.
Put some respect on there.
Not only our population numbers, but when we go into redistricting and then they realize the power of our vote, it's a game changer. And that's why, and I think, and that we see this surge of uh, social justice. That can you imagine that day that Black Lives Matter here in San Diego, and the Black women that put together that caravan throughout the whole county. We started at what I remember 8:30 in the morning. It was still going after we went for dinner at 6:30 in the evening throughout the whole county. So if you got everyone that was in a caravan to go out and vote, or let's even say half the people that went to go out and vote, we can vote in whoever we want in the county of San Diego. You can determine who's the mayor, who's the sheriff. And if you didn't know, we elect judges. We elect judges into position. So the people that are doing us wrong, if you let someone else vote for you, shame on us. But now we have the numbers. So the money, power, and respect is it all flows together. But we have to first start with being counted, then we register and vote. So be counted, my2020census.gov. You can do that online. 9 questions. Ray's going to show you how. You go to sdvote.com. That's where you register to vote. Then when you register to vote, they mail you the ballot. You don't even have to go anywhere. You can either drop it in the mail, because they're going to drop it on October 5th. It'll get there in time, or you can drive it to a polling site. So with all of us together, they didn't have us all together. They had us all separated in our own silos. But we're getting smarter. We're working more smarter, not harder. And we have technology on our side. So let's use it. Let's use it. Get the word out and get it done.
So one of the things that S.U.N, we say on S.U.N, go ahead. One of the things we say on S.U.N is that what was it? You said it, but we add one more thing, is that people, policy, power. So that's exactly what you were talking about, is that people, and then with our people, we can shape that policy for that power that we need. Yes, Dhalia, please.
I was going to say that one of the things, just listening to JoAnn, it's really important to understand too that the count is just the count. There's some misconception out there for those who are a little bit nervous about taking the census. It doesn't matter whether you're a citizen or not. It's simply a count. I've been asked that repeatedly, so I want to make sure that your audience understands that regardless of citizenship statuses, it does not matter. It's just simply trying to figure out the numbers in San Diego County. And so I encourage people who haven't done that because of that fear, hopefully to set that aside and still take the census and fill it out, because it's really important. Our country's getting browner. There's a fear of that. I want to put that out there. And when there's fear, there's going to be moments where, unfortunately, there's going to be barriers put in our places or in front of us. We have to look beyond that and understand the barriers and still take the risk to do things that are going to be, in the long run, important for ourselves, our families, and our children, right? And I wanted to just give you an idea of some numbers, because I wanted to numbers are very powerful. Like in San Diego County, there's about Okay, so for each person, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ray, but it's about 1,950 per person that gets counted. So in San Diego, we're about 7% undercounted from the 2010 for Black children under age 5. So that comes up to about 5,500 5,500 Black kids, for example, under age of 50, under 5. 7% represents about 385 kids. If you multiply that by the 1950, it's $750,000 that's not funded because of undercounting. That's a lot of money.
And when you do the total calculation, it was predicted in 2010 that we're only going to be able to count 72%. And that's what we're trying to fight for. Each individual is roughly about 1850 to 1975. You count that over 10 years, that's $22 million that we're missing.
Yeah.
That we're not getting. I mean, think about it.
It's significant.
The Census Bureau distributes about $675 billion to the states and the local communities for health, education, housing, infrastructure programs. You know, accurate census counts ensure the funding, distribution for a number of programs: Medicaid, highway planning, construction, special education, grants for states, national school lunch program, Head Start, and so on. This is how important our count is. You know, I was driving with my dad. I think I told the ladies this not too long ago. I'm driving with my dad, and we get off me in Temecula, and we hit a pothole. And he looks at me, and I go, "What's going on?" He said, "Somebody didn't get their count."
What? No, I don't get that. I don't get that. No.
The funding is for roads also.
Right. Okay.
When we hit that pothole, my dad looked at me and said, "Somebody didn't count. Somebody didn't count." That's probably the reason why that road is not fixed.
So that's from that local municipal, as far, or even state, as far as
that is correct.
Yeah, or the cap and trade. The cap and trade is also supposed to keep our, roads together. So Ray, are you going to give us a demonstration before we end?
I sure am. Is the technician allowing me to share my screen?
So as you guys working those out, we can just continue to, have our conversation on this. So one of the things is that I understand too is there's some indication about like overcrowding by households, right? And that the census also can kind of pick up on that as well. And so from some standard, I think they might be on a federal level, that if you have like a 1-bedroom apartment, they're not even considering that necessarily overcrowding unless it's like at least
Doesn't
5.
matter.
Doesn't matter. None of that matters.
Yeah.
None of that matters. That's misinformed, and that's misinformation.
Okay. So
we're in an economic climate right now where we know that we have a sandwich community, meaning we have multi-generations in one household.
Right.
We have roommate situations to help with the cost of living.
Right.
So whatever the address is, it's whoever lays their head there the majority of the year as of April 1st. That's who gets counted. None of that information is shared with the landlord or anyone outside of the U.S. Census Bureau. So we want to dispel that myth that it doesn't matter on the size of the place and how many people are there. If they reside there, that's where they reside.
Sure. That's really good to dispel that. Thank you, JoAnn. All right, Ray.
All right, I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, if you look at California's self-response rate as a whole state, we're at 65.1. But for San Diego, we are 69.9. We are rocking, but this is not the time for us to take our foot off the pedal. We still have a long way to go. So,
and I wanted to just quickly give to perspective. There are some neighborhoods in San Diego that are at like 85 to 89%.
Oh wow!
Oh,
do you know what those neighborhoods are?
Yes, I got.
Yes, I totally know. Oh, go ahead, Ray. I totally know. I'm in one of those neighborhoods.
So here's the disparity. Here is the disparity, especially when you talk about funding.
That's right.
You have City Heights. That's some of them are right at 60%, And then right over them is at Kensington at 86 to
Yeah.
87%. What is the difference between those two communities?
Is the demographics.
And money.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about a very affluent, rich neighborhood to a poverty-stricken neighborhood. And I'm telling you, they're less than 2 miles apart.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so let me get to these census questions. If you have your laptop, for everybody that's listening, thank you for listening. If you have your laptop, your tablet, your cell phone, you can actually complete your census on your cell phone. So you can follow with me. So go to your search engine, type in my2020census.gov, and you're going to see this front screen. And when you see this, you go to the area where it says start your questionnaire. You click that. The next thing that's going to come up is going to ask you if you have your 12-digit census ID. Back in March and April, these were mailed out to the communities. If you have your 12-digit census ID, you put it in right here and you click log in. Now, say for instance, you can't find it. You didn't get it. You can still complete your census. Down here at the bottom is that if you do not have your census ID, click right here. And it's very easy to complete. And you click next. The first start of the census questionnaire is, in order to collect your address, we need to know where you're living at on April 1st, 2020. All of us here in California, a US state or District of Columbia, you click that box, and you click next. Next, they're gonna ask you, where were you living at on April 1st, 2020? And you see for my address, I put 2020 census, street census, apartment 101, San Diego, California. You put in your address and where you live at. Now we go right into the questions themselves. Question number one, how many people are living or staying in your house, apartment, or mobile home on April 1st? If it's just you, it's one. If it's you and your partner, significant other, it's two. It's you and your partner, significant other, and kids, it's how many people are living in that house at that time on April 1st. You self-respond. Number two, are there any additional people staying in this house on April 1st where you did not include in question one? Just like JoAnn was talking about before, underage children, 0 to 5 is very important. So children related, unrelated, such as newborn babies, grandchildren, foster children, relatives such as adult children, cousins or in-laws, non-relatives such as roommates or babysitters, or your Uncle Joe or Leroy, whoever's sleeping on your couch. People staying there temporarily, or no additional people. Number three, in this house or apartment or mobile home, is it owned by you or someone in the household with a mortgage or a loan? Owned with someone in the household free and clear? Are you renting, or are you occupied without payment of rent? What is your telephone number? This is needed just in case the census needs to clarify one of these 9 questions or a few of these 9 questions. That is the only reason why they're going to call you. Question number 5, please provide each person living here their name. So like for me, my name would be Raymond and last name be Donegan. And then question 2 is who living their name, and so on, depending on how many people you have living at your house. Question number 6, what is person's one sex? There's only 2 that is you're allowed to answer with, male or female. You self-respond on how you feel you are on April 1st. Number 7, what is person's one's age, and what is person's one's date of birth? How old were you on April 1st, and what is your date of birth? Please note that both questions 8 about Hispanic origins and 9 about race. So question 8 is person 1 Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin? If you're not, you click no. If you are, you click yes, I'm Mexican, Mexican-American, Chicano, yes, Puerto Rican, yes, Cuban, or if your Spanish ethnicity is not listed, first time ever, you can actually type it in here at the bottom. It's the first time ever that we can self-respond this way. So this is about race. So if you're Caucasian or white, you click this box right here, then you write in German American, Irish American, English American, and so on. If you're Black or Afro-American, you click right here and you type in Black American, African American, Haitian American, Nigerian American, so on. If you're Native American, you click this box and you can type in the tribe, Navajo Nation American, Blackfeet American, and you can, and you can write in your actual, your tribe in American. Now,
So Ray, I do have a question.
Hold on, I'm almost done.
No, and I have a question about this one, if I can.
Yes, go ahead.
So when you have white, Black, or even American Indian, so if you click white, do you also have to explain how you defining that, as well as when you click Black, do you have to put Black American, or can you just click the boxes?
No, ma'am. You have to self-identify.
So you can't just click white, or you can't just click Black?
No, because when I did mine, I clicked Black and I put in Afro-American.
Okay.
I put in Black American.
I didn't, I want to insert on that. I actually filled the same thing out and I just clicked Black.
Okay, so you can't just click that.
Anything in for the.
But the thing is, if you just put Black, they'll put you where they want to put you.
Well, that would be Black. That's what
what I'm saying, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make this sound, because you have the categories. You have people that are African American, you have Afro American, you have Black American.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. I self-identify as Black.
That's correct.
But some people identify as will check Black and put Jamaican. That's okay too.
That's correct. That's correct.
Good. So, thank you for answering the question. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Dhalia. Say, for instance, that you are mixed ethnicities. Say, for instance, you're Chinese and Filipino. You're Asian American and Korean, Native Hawaiian and Samoan or Chamorro. This is the first time that you can self-identify, and you can actually type it in right here, or any other race, you can type it in. This is the first time, Sonja, that we are able to self-identify, and the first time that we can do it online. So what are the next steps for the 2020 census? You know, like I said, our goal is 72% participation rate for San Diego County. Media campaign continues until September. Event-based mobile questionnaire, or MQAs, are in full effect. I mean, we're doing food drives with MQAs. Like JoAnn said, we're in front of stores doing MQAs. Here are the numbers. So if anybody needs the numbers to the census office here in San Diego, you have the El Cajon office, 858-285-7539. And you have the San Diego downtown office, 619-695-5657. Multiple languages available, open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. 20 minutes to complete your census. I just went through all the questions in 5 minutes.
Okay, that is awesome. So I'm glad that you shared this information, with us. So like you said, you see how painless it is. It really is very, very, very useful in getting that demonstration raised. So you did a fabulous job. So what information do you want us to hear or know about as related to the census? Are there any announcements? Are there any activities, events that you guys are hosting? Definitely want to make sure that our viewers can follow the information that you guys are working on as well.
Well, as of the 11th of this month, I'm gonna let JoAnn finish out as soon as I get done. The enumerators are already out in the field. So if you haven't completed your census, you haven't sent it by mail, you haven't done it online, the enumerators will be knocking at your door to complete your census. And now we have a lot of activities coming up in which we're gathering together. Like I said before, that all three of us have started the online process of spreading information. Now we're just really getting into communities, because now we can go out because of COVID, some relaxation. And I'll let JoAnn cover that, because we're doing a lot of community events.
Yes, so thank you for that. We are working with the U.S. Census Bureau to provide mobile questionnaire or assistant questionnaire assistance, MQAs, meaning there will be census staff on site every Tuesday at the Jacob Center, 404 Euclid Avenue. People start getting in line about 12:30. The food distribution starts anywhere between 3 and 4 o'clock. So while people are in line waiting, whether it's walk up or in their cars, again, we'll have MQAs staff, Census Bureau staff that will be on site to help anyone that may not have internet connectivity or may not know the information needs to be gathered. So they will be there for the Paving Great Futures and I Am My Brother's Keeper food drive. Then there's another food distribute, that's every Tuesday until this ends in September. Then we also have food distribution that takes place on Fridays at the Bay Terrace Park, 7373 Tuma Street. Again, Paving Great Futures, along with I Am My Brother's Keeper, they provide a food drive and people start lining up there at 11 a.m. We'll have MQA staff available there. We also have a visibility event. We're going North County. We're going to go to Mare Mesa Boulevard. That everyone does not live in just one part of San Diego County. We're everywhere. So
That's
we are
right.
going to have a census caravan, meaning we're going to have a string of cars honking, making noise, drawing attention to our cars that will have census messaging. We'll send out a press release. So you may see this on the news. They covered us when we did this in National City a month ago. So again, we're trying to be creative and trying to be very accessible. If you don't have the internet, make sure you answer the door when the enumerator knocks on your door, or make sure you get to one of these food distribution sites so that Paving Great Futures is providing a venue where the staff of the Census Bureau will be there on site and in person. Or you can go to my2020census.gov or call 844-330-2020. That's the toll-free number, or you can complete the census over the phone. So again, we have technology on our side. We're already making the mark from 2010. We can exceed it in exceptional numbers because they just started knocking on the doors. And if you think about it, historically, they couldn't go online. They couldn't just call this information in. They would send you an invitation, you send it back. If they get your mail, cool. If not, they're knocking at your door. Well, this time we have all of that in addition to the internet, the phone, the MQAs, and also we still have about a month. So again, if you completed the census, thank you. If not, after this broadcast, go to my2020census.gov and get it done. And if you need help, I'm sure Dhalia, Baypack, Ray, we saw Andrew's number as well as partnership specialists that we're trying our best to get it done. So if you complain about a long wait on the Section 8 list, if you complain about the traffic, if you complain about the long wait in the ER, think about the 10 minutes that you did not take to complete the census, because those 9 questions that Ray demonstrated only takes 10 minutes and it'll make an impact for the next 10 years. So again, it's not a waste of time. It's that important. They spilled over millions of dollars, hired thousands of people to get this done, not only in San Diego, but if you have relatives in Chicago, New York, Houston, Puerto Rico, Guam, America, Samoa, those are all territories and the states of the United States. It's mandated by law. Let's get it done. 10 minutes will make an impact for the next 10 years.
That's awesome. Thank you, JoAnn. Yes, very well said. Dhalia, would you like to share any announcements, updates, or anything else you just want to share with us in general?
No, I think JoAnn pretty much covered it all. As far as for, in addition to that, BayPAC is continuing to wrap things up. Actually, at this point, we've been having so much activity. So I believe that we consider this the last stretch. So we're following up with partners who have been through their radio talk shows, through community virtual events and things like that to continue until the end of the month. into September.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and then so that's pretty much most of the activities right now, just wrapping up.
Okay.
Virtual presence.
Right. And so just to kind of put it even in a historical, religious, spiritual sense. I mean, if you guys remember the story of Jesus, what was, Joseph doing? He was going back to Bethlehem to complete his census, right? I mean, so we can even put that out there that, all our, faith believers and, Bible thumping and church stomping, that the story, look at Dhalia's laughing, but that is the true story.
Very true.
Right. Just put it in perspective. So there is a lot of great information that is shared, and also understanding that there is work that's also happening all throughout our county. So San Diego is the second largest county in the state of California, and with California being the most populous state across our union. And so these mighty soldiers that we're having the pleasure to be on our show and talk with us today is representing the work that they're doing in San Diego, and also knowing that there is work that needs to be done throughout our county. I think it's remarkable that you guys are at 69.9%. That is just a tribute and a reflection of the hard work that you guys are doing. September 30th. We know now, I mean, that's a little more than 6 weeks away, where we're at now. If there's any other information or importance, I mean, I think you guys mentioned the enumerator. Can you tell us who those are? Kind of define what that role is, Ray?
Enumerators are census employees that come to the neighborhoods and knock on the doors to the people that haven't responded. They will come with proper protective equipment. They may have face shields. They definitely have masks, have gloves on. They'll have a census bag that actually says USS Census. They have their census phone or a census laptop, and they have their government ID, and you can request to see it. Matter of fact, I advise you to request to see it.
Good point.
Make sure that we have the correct people coming to your home, and you know who they are. Because you don't want some fake people coming up trying to get some vital information from you.
Because I think I actually have a postcard here. This is a census postcard.
That's right.
And it does read on here that, as you guys have shared very intellectually, that it is required. I think you guys mentioned that, right? That it is required to complete. So I think it was Dhalia that mentioned something about if you're not counted, you're just
not visible.
You're invisible.
You're invisible.
I just want to really stress the point when it comes to enumerators. They have to wear proper protecting equipment, to protect the employees themselves and the people that they interact with. And one last thing that I want to put out, and JoAnn said it before, and I say it all the time. If you completed your census, hoorah, we are happy for you. But your job is not done. You need to talk to the rest of your friends, talk to your family, especially the older people in our family that might not be technically inclined, and help them complete their census. It's that important. And the discussion we was having today just basically displays why we need to have this done. And I
love the fact that you showed the electronic form, which we're saying is a really good, safe place to do it. But with September 30th being on our heels, and there are people that like to do things different, is doing it via paper, filling out the form, is it still safe to do it in the month of August to get it done in a paper form versus electronic form?
Electronic is a lot faster.
But is it safe for them to mail it in?
They have to have the paper form. If they have what they sent out in March, the questionnaire was sent out in March. So if they still have that, yes, by all means, use that, because there is a code that is on that survey. That's if you kept it since March. But if not, then you need to complete it with an enumerator. And again, it's the same 9 questions what you see on the website. So you can either do it with someone of the census staff or on your own online. But the paper version, there is no pile of paper that you can just go pick up one. We don't have that.
Right.
And
Got it.
so again, it's either the enumerator, calling, or online.
Got it.
Just to let you know, the census response rate is updated every 24 hours. So say, for instance, the numerator is coming toward your house and he'll be at your house tomorrow. You do it today, the numerator won't come to your house.
Oh, okay.
So you want to get off the list.
That's right.
So you want to get off the enumerator list by getting it complete.
Correct. Because that is the non-response. That's why they're coming to your door.
Right. And Dhalia, you wanted to say something before we close?
I just wanted to say, just complete the census. It's so short. It doesn't take any time. If you're having a hard time, grab your grandkids or grab someone in, maybe a neighbor that you have a relationship with or something. We have to help each other out to get it done. It's so important. It is so important.
I like that. So you said, complete your census and be visible, right? So make sure so we're going to count ourselves in. We want to thank this great powerhouse panelists of experts that's in our community throughout our county and even Imperial County, working really hard to make sure that we are visible, that we're seen, and that we're counted. Thank you. I feel convicted. I want to make sure that I help in any way. I hope our listeners that haven't done it, like as you said, even if you have done it, do the work and making sure others have. So we want to make sure we can blow that 72% goal out the water. Thank you, U.S. Census panelists. Next week, you guys, we will be hearing from back at our candidate series. So we look forward to hearing from our school district board, Dr. LaWanna Richmond. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on S.U.N.